The espresso machine in my office made a soft humming sound as I read the email for the third time. It was from my ex-husband, David, asking for a meeting. 2 years after he walked out of my life, he was reaching out to me. "Emily, please," the email said. "I know I don't deserve your time, but my company is in trouble. I need investors who understand the business. Just 1 hour of your time." I looked at the stock ticker on my computer screen. Richardson Technology, David's company, had dropped another 15%. His company wasn't just struggling, it was failing fast. "Miss Bennett," my assistant Sarah's voice came through the intercom. "Your 10 a.m. appointment is here." "Thank you, Sarah, give me 2 minutes." I closed the email without replying and straightened my silk blouse. The view from my corner office reminded me how far I'd come since the night David left. "She makes me feel young again," he had said as he packed his bags. I stood in the bedroom doorway, watching him. "Jessica understands me in ways you never did." I didn't say a word, I just watched as he took his expensive watches, his fancy suits, and his golf clubs. He left behind 20 years of marriage and the woman who had helped him build his company from nothing. What he didn't know was that I had been preparing for this moment for months. I had seen the signs, late nights at the office, strange text messages, and a sudden interest in staying fit at 45. I had seen this happen to other executives' wives, but unlike them, I didn't cry or beg. I didn't throw his things out the window or scratch his precious Tesla. Instead, I got everything in order. My name is Emily Bennett, and while my husband was busy with his 24-year-old mistress, I was busy turning his biggest mistake into my greatest success. The first sign of trouble had come 8 months before he left. At a charity event, I watched Jessica, his new marketing coordinator, touch his arm and laugh at his jokes. She was beautiful in an obvious way, long blonde hair, perfect makeup, and a designer dress probably bought with her company card. But it wasn't her attention to David that caught my eye. It was the way she studied the room, noting which executives were there and which connections mattered. She wasn't just a pretty face, she was ambitious. That night, I went home and opened my laptop. 20 years of marriage to a tech CEO had taught me more than just how to host dinner parties. I knew the industry inside and out. I had sat through countless strategy meetings and had edited every major proposal David had ever written. I also knew his weaknesses. David had always focused on hardware, servers, networks, and infrastructure. He thought software was just support, but I had been watching the market. The future wasn't in boxes and wires. It was in cloud services, in the invisible systems that made everything work. So, while David wined and dined his young girlfriend, I started making calls, first to Janet Chen, my old roommate from business school, who now ran a venture capital firm. She sounded surprised to hear from me. "It's been ages. How are you?" "I'm about to be divorced," I said calmly, "and I have a business idea for you." We met for coffee the next day. I explained my plan, a software company specializing in AI-driven cloud management. It would work with companies like David's but would eventually make them outdated. Janet listened, took notes, and asked smart questions. At the end, she smiled, a smile I remembered from our college days. It meant she saw an opportunity. "Your company will compete directly with Richardson Technologies," she said. "Eventually," I agreed, "but by then, it'll be too late for them." That afternoon, she gave me $2 million in seed funding. I hired the best developers I could find, even taking some from David's company. They came willingly. It turned out I wasn't the only one who saw that David's company was falling behind. The divorce was quick and easy. David thought I was just a trophy wife who had gotten too old. He didn't look too closely at my new consulting business. He gave me the house and a fair settlement in exchange for my shares in his company. I signed the papers with the Mont Blanc pen he had given me for our 15th anniversary. The irony wasn't lost on me. By the time the ink dried, my new company, Bennett Digital Solutions, was already working on its first product. While David posted Instagram photos of his Hawaiian vacation with Jessica, I was in meetings with clients who were tired of old, clunky systems. Now, 2 years later, I sat in my corner office in downtown Seattle, running a company worth over $50 million. Our cloud management software was changing the industry, and Richardson Technologies was losing clients, many of them to us. There was a knock at my door. "Come in," I said. Lisa Chin, Janet's daughter and my head of business development, walked in with a tablet. "You're going to want to see this," she said, placing it on my desk. I looked at the screen and smiled. Richardson Technologies stock had dropped another 10% in the last hour. It was now worth less than a quarter of what it was 2 years ago. "Word is they're looking for investors," Lisa said, Rumor has it David's been trying to find backers, but no one's interested. They all say the same thing, his company is too far behind. I picked up my phone and opened David's email again. Should I meet with him? It would be satisfying to see him struggle, to watch him realize that the wife he left behind had become the powerful CEO he always wanted to be. But I had a board meeting in an hour and a client presentation after that. My time was valuable now. Sarah, I said through the intercom, please reply to Mr. Richardson's email. Tell him I don't have time for meetings about struggling companies, but he's welcome to send an investment proposal through our usual channels. Lisa grinned, cold. No, I said, standing up to get ready for the board meeting, just business. I was looking over our quarterly numbers when Sarah buzzed again. Miss Bennett, Mr. Richardson is here. He doesn't have an appointment, but he's insisting on seeing you. I checked the security feed on my computer. David was in the reception area, looking much less polished than I remembered. His expensive suit was wrinkled, and his hair, usually perfect, looked messy. The golden Rolex he always wore was gone. Interesting. How long has he been waiting? I asked, even though I could see the time on the security feed. 20 minutes, Sarah said. Should I call security? I thought about it for a moment. Part of me wanted to let him wait out there, maybe even have him escorted out. But another part of me, the part that had spent 20 years learning business strategies, knew this was an opportunity. Give him 5 more minutes, I said, then send him in. I used those 5 minutes to make sure I looked perfect. I smoothed my hair, touched up my lipstick, and adjusted my Hermes scarf, the one I bought to celebrate our first $1 million in revenue. When Sarah finally brought him in, I was sitting at my desk, reading reports as if his presence didn't matter much. Emily, he said, his voice sounding desperate, thank you for seeing me. I looked up slowly, taking my time to notice him. David, you look well, I said, though it wasn't true. Up close, he looked worse. There were new wrinkles around his eyes, and his hand shook slightly as he held his briefcase. Can we skip the small talk? He asked, sitting down in one of the chairs without waiting for me to invite him. You know why I'm here. Actually, I don't, I replied calmly. My assistant told me you don't have an appointment, and I'm very busy running my company. Unlike some CEOs, I don't waste time on unplanned meetings. He winced at the jab but kept going. Richardson Technologies needs money, fast. We're working on new products, but the market is changing. Moving toward cloud-based solutions and AI, I added. Yes, he said, trying to smile but it looked more like a frown. That's why I'm here. We need investors who understand the business. 15 million would give us enough time to make the changes we need. I picked up a pen, the Mont Blanc he gave me during our divorce, and tapped it on my desk. Why should I invest in a company that's clearly failing? Your reports show falling profits, losing clients, and no clear plan for the future. His eyes widened. You've been following our numbers? I follow all our competitors, I said smoothly. It's just good business. Competitors? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Emily, be serious. You run a small software company. We're in completely different leagues. I turned my computer screen toward him, showing a graph of our stock prices over the past 2 years, his dropping, mine rising. Are we? I asked quietly, because from where I sit, David, one of us is running a successful tech company worth $50 million, and the other is begging for money to save a failing business. Care to guess which is which? His face turned pale as he looked at the graph. This is Bennett Digital? Your company? My company, I confirmed. The one you called a hobby during our divorce. The one that's been taking your clients for the past 18 months. The one that just signed a deal with Microsoft worth more than your entire company. He slumped in his chair, his briefcase falling to the floor. Papers spilled out, financial reports, plans to save the company. I saw a bank statement showing his account was almost empty. What happened to your Rolex? I asked, already knowing the answer. He rubbed his bare wrist. Had to sell it. Jessica, she likes expensive things. Ah, yes, Jessica, how is she? Still making you feel young? His silence said it all. I'd heard she left him 6 months ago for a younger, more successful CEO. Emily, he said finally, his voice rough, I know I don't deserve your help, but 20 years of marriage must mean something. Please, just look at our proposal. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the Seattle skyline. In the reflection, I could see him watching me, a mix of hope and desperation on his face. 20 years of marriage, I repeated softly. You're right, David, it does mean something. He sat up a little straighter, a hint of his old confidence returning. It means, I continued, turning to face him, that I got the most expensive business education possible. And now you want me to invest in the company you're running into the ground, the same company you wouldn't let me help manage because wives should stay out of business. David stood up, his desperation turning to anger. So this is revenge? You built all this just to destroy me? I laughed, the sound echoing in the room. Oh, David, not everything is about you. I built this company because I saw where the industry was going while you were busy chasing youth. I succeeded because I understood what clients needed while you were stuck in the past. Your failure is just collateral damage. Collateral damage? He snapped. 300 people work for me, Emily, real people with families and bills. Do they deserve to be collateral damage? I picked up my tablet and opened a file. You mean like Angela Chin in accounting? Or Mark Rivera in development? Or the other 50 employees who've already joined Bennett Digital? His face turned pale. We've been quietly hiring your best people for months, I explained. We offer better pay, better benefits, and a future. By the end of the quarter, we'll have hired everyone worth keeping. The rest? That's just business. He sank back into the chair, all confidence gone. You've thought of everything, haven't you? I learned from the best, I replied. You taught me that business is business. Remember when you said our marriage was underperforming and you needed a younger model? There was a knock at the door. Lisa walked in with a tablet. Sorry to interrupt, but the board is waiting. And that other matter we talked about, it's done. I nodded. Thank you, Lisa, I'll be right there. I turned back to David. I'm afraid our time is up. Please, he said, making one last attempt. What am I supposed to do? I sat back down at my desk and pulled out a folder. Actually, I have a proposal for you. His eyes lit up with hope, but I quickly crushed it. Bennett Digital will buy Richardson Technologies assets at market value, which, given your stock price, is about 10 cents on the dollar. Your shareholders get something instead of nothing. Your employees get job security. And you, I slid the folder across the desk, you get to retire with some dignity. He opened the folder with shaky hands, reading the terms. This is a hostile takeover. No, David, I said, this is mercy. You have 24 hours to accept. After that, we'll wait for bankruptcy and buy what's left for even less. As security led him out, I caught my reflection in the window, confident, powerful, unstoppable, not bad for a woman he thought was too old. The board meeting was quick and successful, our numbers were great, and everyone was excited about taking over Richardson Technology. That evening, as I packed up my office, I found an old photo in my desk drawer, our wedding day, 22 years ago. We looked so young and full of hope. David was smiling at the camera, and I was looking at him with love. Miss Bennett, Sarah said, appearing at the door, your car is here, and Mr. Richardson's office called. They've accepted the offer. I dropped the photo into the shredder. Thank you, Sarah. Please have legal start the paperwork first thing tomorrow. On my way out, I passed the wall of awards and news articles in the reception area. Bennett Digital revolutionizes cloud management. Emily Bennett named CEO of the year. Local tech company hits $50 million valuation. My phone buzzed with a text from Janet. Heard about Richardson. Drinks to celebrate? I smiled and replied, can't tonight. Early meeting tomorrow. Taking over an old tech company, nothing major. As my driver drove through Seattle's evening traffic, I thought about the past 2 years, the late nights, the risks, the moments of doubt, but mostly, I thought about the night David left, thinking he was leaving me with nothing. He'd been wrong about so many things, about business, about age, about what makes a person valuable, but his biggest mistake was underestimating the woman who had spent 20 years learning how to succeed in this industry. My phone buzzed again, a text from an unknown number. You won. Are you happy now? D. I typed back 3 words, just getting started. Then I blocked his number and turned back to the quarterly projections for our newest division. There was still so much to build, so much to achieve, and unlike David, I wasn't interested in looking back. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't just success, it's success so complete that your enemies become footnotes in your story. David had wanted a younger woman, he got his wish, but he'd forgotten that experience, wisdom, and determination often beat youth. As my car pulled up to my penthouse, I caught my reflection in the lobby windows. At 42, I didn't see an aging woman past her prime. I saw a CEO, a visionary, a force to be reckoned with. The security guard tipped his hat. Evening, Miss Bennett, another late night? I smiled, thinking of the empire I'd built from the ashes of David's betrayal. Actually, Jim, I'm just getting started. And I was. Because the sweetest part of success isn't proving others wrong, it's proving yourself right.